Welcome to the Point News interviews. And today it's good to have David Reed. Hello, David.
How you doing, Miss Daria?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not bad. Chilling. It's relaxing.
That's really great. We can start our conversation with the first question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
How do you think the film industry is evolving around the world today?
I have a little mixed feelings. I feel like there's a lot of ideas like from my past, your past, our childhoods, that they're kind of like redeveloping, for the new generation. Um, I'm not necessarily sure if they're trying to remind the new generation of um what we grew up to, what we've seen, or if they're just trying to make up for the lack of the approach in the industry. So I do feel personally that when I was growing up, um there was a lot better cinematic ideas that I would pay top dollar to go to the theater to see, to enjoy. Nowadays, there's not a lot of movies that I'm like willing to just like pay for. I think the last movie I seen was Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mhm.
It was entertaining. There was a lot of plus sides, but there was a lot of minus sides. If we're just talking about a traditional movie, um, Deadpool and Wolverine had a lot of pull to it, being that they're like two very popular Marvel characters. Not to discredit, I enjoyed the film, but I probably ranked it like a 7, 6.8, 7.2, um, due to the fact that I didn't get that feeling that I usually get when I used to go to the theater as a child. Not saying that everyone feels like that's important, but for the new generation, I don't know what they would be feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you think you wouldn't watch that film again?
That's a tough question. I would watch it again, but on my end, mind you, my schedule very busy with my own projects for entertainment. So if I were to take that out of it, yes, I would watch it again. Um, if I were to keep my schedule into it, then I would say I would need a decent time to watch that, and especially if I'm with family, children. It's not really a children's movie, and Deadpool and Wolverine is not really a children's movie. Um, but there was a lot of dope like film and like creative, industry, cinematic aspects that I feel like were like standard. Um, but if I were a kid today, and that was a movie that my parents took me to, I would be very confused.
Which countries lead the film industry today?
I'm not even gonna sit here in front and act like I know that, but it seems like the North American box office does pretty well. But it seems like when things go worldwide, um, the numbers sometimes have a bit of a difference. So I think it really just depends on the movie itself. Um, I don't want to say, which country is which. If I were to pick, I would say North America, but I live in North America. I'm born and raised in California. So I don't want to be biased. I know the domestic box office for us, it generally comes first for most blockbuster movies, and then it transitions to other countries. Um, China is a big box office for sure. You know, when the things are released in China, I think numbers definitely change. I would say North America, but um, if I were to personally pick, I feel like a lot of foreign film is very underrated. A lot of foreign films are very underrated. They're very well put together. And we're talking like the fundamentals of filmmaking. Um, I feel like North America shies away from the fundamentals and they gravitate towards CGI and special effects a lot of times because we all have computers and it's easy for them to get an iPad or a Mac and create something, even if it's AI, you know, you could use AI to create a movie now and it can create a whole movie. I feel like the traditional form of filmmaking, I feel like there's certain countries out there that they stick to the formula and they don't make excuses for the lack of the hard work that it goes into being a cinematographer, an actor, a screenwriter, to rely on CGI, artificial intelligence, special effects, etc. You know, I feel like there's some countries out there that definitely they keep to it, and it's tradition. Film is a standard. There's a formula to it. There's a you learn to be a filmmaker. A lot of days you got TikTok, you got Instagram. You know, guys are creating reels. I do reels myself, but not for film exploitation. Um, you know, you got guys, you know, gals that they get online, they get a camera, they get an iPhone, and they're like, okay, I could tape myself doing something, and it's cute, but what's the difference between a home movie? It's no difference than home movies that you would, hey, mom, dad, let me. They go in the attic and they bring out a camera or some cassette tapes and they got taping you doing all this thing when you were 5 years old. You didn't had no idea. So reels to me and a lot of independent filmmakers, they take that kind of like home movie approach. But when we're talking like film, like industry standard, um, I feel like there are countries that kind of still stick to that, and I think North America is kind of opening the social media vibe of if I do a live, it's an episode. Let me get on live, episode one, episode two, and it's just like it's a home movie. You're just chilling at your house talking to people on FaceTime. That's not an episode. It's not a movie. The definition of production, the definition of film, it was never for the sake of you just whipping out your camera. You know, that's just convenient for people who are, I hate to say it, and I'm not trying to offend anybody when I say this, lazy. That's lazy. It I've seen some very great short films put together on phones, iPhones, iPads, whatever camera, you know, DSLRs. But when you start trying to use that and say it's a production, we can't live without our phones.
Right.
We live in a world, you know, as millennials, to where you kind of need your phone to survive because everything is connected. Your bank account, your job has an app that you could like look at your hours and your pay stub, right? And your pictures, your photos, your social media, your networking with everybody, you're keeping connected with your family and friends, right? So the videos are the same thing, but we just live in an era where it's like if I record myself, it's a short film or it's a movie or it's an episode, and it's just like that's not the standard of production. You're slacking. You're like lazy. Like you're not putting in the real work. Like industry standard professionalism for film and entertainment. It didn't start with a phone. It didn't even start with home movie cameras. Um, it developed that way, but how many industry professionals used a home movie camera and created a hit, a blockbuster? None of them. They just learned.
Have you seen yeah, out of the topic a little, have you seen Korea movies?
Korea has some really great movies. I think True Legend, I think it was made in 2010. It's a mixed martial arts film about a guy who I believe he had a stepbrother, and his stepbrother's father was killed by his father in a war, and they took him on, and then that stepbrother became the villain. And his stepbrother of the villain fell in love with his sister, had a baby. And they end up having to go blow for blow to the end. And to me, it showed like it doesn't matter like what side you come from. There's always going to be good and evil. And to see those characters develop for the sake of I have to beat you to survive. I can't survive if I don't beat you. And I believe it was partially a Korean film. Um, very well put together. I feel like Korea has some really, really deep intel on the filmmaking that they do over there, especially when it comes to like some of the mixed martial arts stuff. It's very entertaining. They really like take you to the edge. When you're like trying to complicate things for the sake of being an unpredictable source.
Do you have any favorite film? I know that there's a lot of films actually out there that we can watch over and over. Like I can watch Harry Potter over and over every year. Or I don't what kind of Home Alone. I can watch that too over and over every
I love
year.
Home Alone. I love Home Alone.
Yeah, that's
I'm in
really
a hotel right now. I'm in a hotel right now. Home Alone 3 all day. Well,
right.
I'm sorry, Home Alone 2. Home Alone 2, not 3. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
So
I
what's your
love that movie.
favorite movie?
Uh Favorite movie. I can only pick one movie.
Um, actually, we can pick more. That's okay. Maybe three.
I'm personally gonna keep my favorite movies a secret,
All
but I
right.
will say Toy Story 1, the
Oh,
first one.
that's a legend.
I was like I was like 7 years old, and my parents took us to the theaters to go see it. And I remember I saw the trailer on TV so many times. The boys are back in town. Toys are back in town. Bam, bam. I was like, I love toys. So I was like, I gotta see that. I was like 7 years old. I believe Toy Story came out in '95. I was born in '88, so I was like 7. We saw it while I was in theaters, and I remember going to the theater, and I was just like, that is the only movie that I hope to God in my entire life that I did not get to see in theaters. And I was a kid, but I was like, if my parents do not take me to see this, for some reason at 7 years old, I thought my life was over. Life didn't make sense to me. I was like, the toys are back in town. The toys are coming to my city to get on the screen so that I could learn how I play with them to make them alive for myself, right? So I'm like, I need to learn how to make my toys alive. Because as a kid, right, when you play with your toys, you got dolls, you sleep with your dolls, you want them to be real. They're like your friends, they're the best friends. Like that's just a kid
Yeah.
idea that we have, like so
Yeah.
like as a child, I
Imagination.
love right. Big imagination. So as a child, I kind of was like, I had several toys that I wanted to be alive to be my friend. So I'm like, oh, Toy Story is gonna show me how to do that. I need to see this. So one of the best experiences of my life. Best experience
Thanks
of my
for
life. Toy
sharing.
Story is definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. It's amazing.
Thanks for sharing. I think it's really a good movie. Um, I watched it too. It's actually also a movie of my childhood. I think it's really kind. It's a kind movie.
For
Uh,
sure. For sure.
all right, let's move on. How do you produce a decent movie?
Um, money, a budget helps. Um, budget, uh, talent. You gotta have the right pieces around you, in front of you. I think that's really it. You just gotta have the finances and the right people. You gotta have the right people because you could have a really good idea, like it could be a great idea, and you get the money, you get the people, and it sucks, like horrible, like horrible. Um, John Carter. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Are you familiar with John
Mm,
Carter?
I'm not sure.
John Carter, I believe they spent $400 million to make that movie. I think it was 400 million. It might have been less. Um, and they spent more on that for marketing, and their goal was to be better than the Avatar movie. The Avatar with James Cameron with the blue
I saw that
CGI,
one. Yeah. I think
right? So like,
that's cool movie. I like that.
so I don't think it's more so about marketing and promotion opposed to do people like what you're doing? That's not up to you. That's not up to me. People either like it or they don't.
What values and themes are most relevant in contemporary cinema?
In today's world,
Yes, in today's world.
absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Um, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way. The industry is oversaturated. People are not thinking. They're not thinking anymore. It's I could get you know how oversaturated the industry is? I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna go into my kitchen. I see a vase there, a vase with a flower pot, and there's a flower there. One flower, it's a daisy. On the vase, there's a smiley face of the daisy, right? So I go, it's my favorite daisy. My grandmother was named Daisy. She passed away. So I keep it there to remind me of her. When I water the daisy, it grows. My grandmother passed away 30 days ago. I've had the daisy for 30 days, reminding me of my grandmother. I've watered it for 30 days. The petals on the daisy grew 30 feet long in 30 days. So now I'm wondering why my grandmother Daisy passed away and I kept this flower and she's been gone for 30 days and I'm watering this daisies to keep alive to remind me of her. And my daisy in my kitchen on the windowsill, the petals grew 30 feet long. How does the movie end? How does the movie end?
I think I'm not following you,
I know that, but you want
but
to
I'm
know,
trying.
do you want to know how the movie ends or you don't?
Yes, yes, sure.
If you don't, it's okay.
No, no, sure. Tell me.
So that's not a movie. That's I just came up with that randomly right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I just made that up. I just made it up right now. You want to know now. So I want to know what happens. So 30 days go by, and now 1 week after 30 days, the petals grow to 60 feet long.
That's
To be to be continued. To be continued. To be continued.
I'm impressed. And actually, I had a thought like, what's gonna be with that flower? That's what I thought when you were telling that story that you made up just now, right?
The industry is unable to do that now. They just take whatever, and whatever gets the views and the likes, and if people are like, oh, this is, but it's like people don't know what they want. I worked in local television for a few months. People don't know what they want. They don't. I'm not saying sell or be fake, but if you are a professional in the creative field of film and entertainment, your job is to give them something that they can cherish. They got to be able to cherish it. You could sell them all day, and you may come out with 16 movies. And like, I love this. But when they look at your overall history, like, what do I get out of that? What did I learn? How did I grow? There has to be something they can get from it. You can relate to people all day too. That's why documentaries do so well, because when you watch a documentary like Super Size Me, guys eating McDonald's all day, he's like, oh, people were talking really bad stuff about that documentary, but everybody was watching it. So it's like, when you have something that people can like get something from, then they're like, oh, it doesn't matter if they don't like it or not. If they're getting something from it, then more people will get something from it, and more people. And you're gonna always have these people that don't get anything from it. You know, there's some people who watch Super Size Me and they're like, I don't care. I'm gonna eat more food. I'm gonna get. I'm gonna be on my 400-pound life, right? I'm not being making fun or discrediting, but there's some people who are like really obese and they watched it, didn't care. But the people who watched it and say, hey, I didn't know this. I could learn from this and like be better, not eat so much McDonald's, right? So you gotta have something that people can like take from, and it makes them feel good for the good reasons and the right reasons. Can't be fake about it. Can't be fake about it. He could have ate all that food and supersized me and be like, oh yeah. I mean, he wasn't a big guy. He made himself fat. He wasn't a big guy. He wasn't out of shape. He ate himself, but he could have ate it and be like, oh, I'll show you how to lose weight. Here's how you lose weight. I lost that weight and I ate McDonald's for a whole 30 days, right? He didn't do that. He said, hey, this is what this food does to you. Bad. He could have been like, oh, let me eat this food and I'll show you how to lose it after 30 days. Now I'm back to normal size. But what did he show us in Super Size Me? Eating, 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 eating. He didn't show us losing the weight. So what I take from is, what do I get from eating it? What I get from eating it, oh, I end up like this guy who was smaller and he got bigger and his life was turned upside down in a bad way. So
I guess they're just promoting McDonald's on that show.
a little bit.
I didn't I haven't seen it.
You never seen Super Size Me? That's a really old documentary. It's on
It
Netflix. You can check it
sounds
out.
familiar. It sounds familiar, but I don't remember the sense of it. What's the sense of
Okay.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's about this guy who ate McDonald's for 30 days to see what would happen. And he just like taped himself, you know? And it got really popular and I believe Netflix put it on there, something like that. Don't quote me. But it was a good for people to watch, you know. It was people like liked it. I watched it. I enjoyed it. Um, but he gave us something that we didn't know. But when he did it, we all was like, oh, I could take something from that. I could learn from that.
Oh, I think people are so different. Some of us would get some insights by watching that show. Some of them, some of us would just like don't pay attention and just watch that for fun. So yeah, I guess it depends on many mm, differences between people and differences in mindset. I think that's why we're reacting not the same on on movies.
You
Um,
know, no, I feel you. I feel you on that. Definitely feel you on that.
let's can we move on to the next question?
Sure.
All right. There are numerous wars around the world today. How does cinema impact these wars?
Interesting question. Uh in today's world, I think very little. Very little. I think there's an agenda before the movies that make the war. And I think everybody with an opinion, if they see a movie or they watch the news or see some, so then they formulate an opinion and they're more confident in that opinion if they see more people agreeing with that opinion through movies or cinema. I don't think it's really like the movies like, hey, watch this, and you watch it. Oh, I'm gonna go kick their ass now because they're Ukraine, right? No, I think it's like this is what's going on. This many people are supporting it. This many people are not supporting it, whether it be movie, broadcast, news, radio. And then you're like, oh, well, I believe that. I believe that. I support that. And I hope there's people there that I can meet to agree with me so I can feel protected because I don't want to have to die and go to war. I need more people to believe what I believe because I think that's wrong. Or maybe I think it's right. I just need people to back me up. Because if I gotta be affected in this war, one thing I do know, I need people to be on my team. That's the only thing media does. That's the only thing media does. It doesn't brainwash more than it influences your comfortability and your confidence in what you already believe. Because most people already have a belief towards whatever war is in any country before it breaks out.
That's a good response.
Yeah, it's like you grow up as a child. First time you hear about war, you've already picked a side.
Right.
You've already picked a side before you know what's going on. And that's everybody. Doesn't matter if you were born in that country or not. Soon as you see what's going on, you're like, that's wrong. Or you're like, that's right. And it doesn't, you never knew what was going to happen with anybody, any country. You were already believing that before it happened.
I get your point. Yeah, wars, as we know, they are so destructive. Um, is there
Facts.
any hope for those who find themselves in a conflict zone?
A conflict zone in regards to war.
Yes.
I want to believe with every part of my inside and outside being that it is, but some of the stories I've heard, um, it's unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Breaks my heart to a lot of the stuff that I've heard and seen and witnessed. Um, innocent people being killed for no reason, just standing there minding their business, and children realizing their parents are no longer there, and they were struggling before that, and their parents were all they knew and all they had, and so humble, the children, to know that I lost the person that provided everything for me, and I'm 8 years old, and if I can't have this person back, what am I supposed to do? What do you expect me to do? You got soldiers coming in from different countries, you know, calm down. Oh, it's like, what do you expect me to do? I don't know what to do. I'm 8. Make sure my mother's alive. Make sure my dad is alive. I haven't learned how to survive without them yet. They understand. They understand. Breaks my soul. Hate it. Hate seeing it. Hate hearing about it. Kills me. Needs to be stopped.
That's really heartbreaking. It's hard for me to watch all those uh horrible news too. What message do you have for politicians from various countries to have them sit down at the negotiating table and halt wars?
You have some really difficult questions. It's difficult questions. I gotta like really think in depth a lot. But I like that. They're good questions. They're good questions. More questions I think everyone should pay attention to. So I'm gonna say this in understanding and knowing that it might probably never happen, right? But if the world leaders responsible uh, for war saying they are, the conversation they would need to have is stop being so greedy. Stop being so greedy. Stop being so careless. Stop being so heartless. We're all human. We're all the same species. You know, um, when you look at animals, most animals generally get along when they're the same species, unless they're desperate. So humans were smart. We don't have to be desperate, but we make things to where we become desperate to survive. And the first thing we think of is kill your brother, kill your brother, kill the country. They got oil. We need oil. Instead of learning how to produce oil for yourself and for your country, you rather invade another country and kill everybody. That's just how it's kind of lazy too. It's like we forgot how to work because we saw somebody else have it and it worked for them. Like, hey, I want that, but I want to take it. I want to take it. I don't want to work for it. And I think greed and trying to take so you can control everything and be on top. I think that's what causes war. Hatred towards somebody that may be a little different, maybe because of skin color, maybe because of beliefs. Stupid stuff. Like if you were a kid and you thought the same way, stupid. You're just playing around and having fun. You think the same stuff. You play as a kid, like let's go to war, save the girl from the play structure. You know, she's a queen in the castle. You're hiding on the slide, right? You're a girl, you're princess. Like, oh, we got to save the queen. We're at war. You guys, we're gonna kill you guys. Bam, 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 bam. Fake guns, you know. Boom, 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 boom. All that shit. Excuse my language. Like you do that as a kid. We save the queen. Like, oh, you guys cheated. Okay, let's do it again. But you're still alive. But you think that way as a kid. I played games like that when I was a kid. Everybody I know, I taught kids, and they played stuff like that. It's like, but when you become an adult and you realize that this is real, this really happens, all of a sudden you're not playing. You don't want nothing to do with it. You want nothing to do with it. But it's because people are greedy. So when you're greedy, you'll play that game all day because you could take, destroy, conquer. It makes you feel something, accomplishment to yourself because you need to feel greed because that's what you're doing. I think it's hatred and sloth. I think every seven abominable sins: sloth, gluttony, lust, wrath, envy. I think all of those emotions, and I missed a few, but all of those emotions is what causes war. All the seven abominable sins, every single one of them that God says He hates, that every single one of them cause war.
You have a good thoughts. Um, I think, yeah, they should think about how to create more, not take and destroy.
Agreed.
We're done for today. That was all my questions. And it was
Okay.
really nice to meet you, and it was a really good conversation.
Well, appreciate you guys inviting me on, and yeah, can't wait to see the full interview.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, everyone can reach me wonderhouseentertainment.com. That's where I do my short films and stuff. Wonderhouseentertainment.com, and then watch wonderhouseentertainment.com is where you could sign up and actually stream the full episodes. And those are the projects that I do. All short film, but I produce everything, write everything. I act in a lot of the stuff as well. I animate a lot of the stuff, but you could watch wonderhouseentertainment.com. You could sign up $2 a month. You could subscribe, watch all my content. You can watch on your Roku TV or your smartphone or your laptop, and then wonderhouseentertainment.com shows everything that's available. And so you can kind of get a sneak peek if to see what's going on before you decide to actually like purchase or watch anything. It's I feel like it's a pretty good deal. So anyone who wants to like see what I do, that's what I do. So
Thank you. I'm gonna add your links to the description so people can follow the links and see your really talented work.
for sure.
All right. Have a good day.
You as well, Mr. Arya. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed talking to you, and thank you for having me and taking the time out to reach out and allow me to be a part of what you guys got going on. It's dope.
Likewise.